Okay, today we have a what I call a double whammy, and that's when I got two QSRs, quick service restaurants, side by side, both dark. Now this can happen for many different reasons. Sometimes one of the brands will go down the road to a better site that that's larger that can handle more drive-through traffic. Sometimes the brand is just obsolete. And sometimes the sites just aren't good. The traffic doesn't support the current menu for these franchises. But here is one that is right across from a McDonald's. We can see the McDonald's right there. It's on a heavily traffic divided, actually, with the turnoff lanes, it's about, you could consider this 6 lanes here. It's actually 8. It's got turnoff lanes. But you got two that are really pass-through lanes. So we got a McDonald's across the street, and as I've stated before, you got to watch where the McDonald's is. They do a ton of research on locations, and usually you want to be on the same side of the street. Anyways, these are the opposite side of the street. There's two of them. There is a couple other newer QSRs down the street from this. So let's look at these two quick, and I'll tell you what I think. So the first one here has the building built so the side's facing the street. And the McDonald's actually on the other side is similar. So I won't take that away from it as the big deal breaker. But what I will take away from this as the deal breaker is look at the site. You have the drive-through exit lanes on the left side here, if you're looking at the video, near the front door. And then you got the drive entrance in the back. And we'll take a loop around here. So you got like 4 or 5 parking spaces right in the front of the building. You got the drive-through coming up the side here. And then you have your side parking here. It's double side. You got 8 or 9 on each side, maybe 12 or 15 on this side. You come around. So we come around to the drive-through. And see, this good thing about the site is it has access to a rear street, but everybody's using this QSR parking lot as a cut through, which isn't probably a good thing when it's operating. So we'll go through, here we go through the actual drive-through lane. We're coming through the drive-through lane, and then it splits here. So I don't know what the reason for splitting is, since basically you have to take the single lane up to this lane. So we come through and we see how narrow it is. So you do have room for 2 cars, but it's a tight squeeze up through here. Let's be honest, especially when you have a big bump here. See that in the parking lot? So this was a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then across the side opposite was an X-Sonic. So we know the story. I've done a lot of Sonic locations, and their new footprint, small store, no outdoor drive ordering from the separate panel. Their new concept's good, and it might even fit on some of their old locations, but these old buildings are just obsolete, non-functional. Because look at here, you got a nice wide two two-sided parking on here. But you know, the Sonics, as I said, they had this old drive-through. Order from your car, they'll bring it out to you. No good anymore. But this site still might be possible for their new concept. And I'll add a little video of one of their new stores in here. But that's the thing I have about Sonic. It's the buildings that's obsolete, and the brand has somewhat of a diminished opinion. But I think they could turn it around if they did things right. See, we got a lot of more of these drive-in, park your car in order, and you also have on this side the drive-through window. So this location has a lot going for it. This Sonic site is a lot better than the KFC site across the street. So we have the double whammy. Oh, and look, here's more cars cutting through the KFC parking lot from the rear access road. Imagine when this was in business, when it was open. You have all these cars cutting through here. That must have been a nightmare for KFC. But anyways, we're looking at two sites, and that's one thing you got to look at. You look at these properties online in a listing. You got to get out there and do your infield underwriting. I mean, I'm paid thousands of dollars to look at each property, and it's because I can do the armchair underwriting like most people, but it's because of my 40 years of knowledge of going out and seeing thousands of properties that I pick up the difference, what's good, what's bad, where you should put something and where you should not put something. And both in vacant QSRs and operating QSRs, because a lot of these franchise brands, it doesn't matter what it is, have long-term leases, renewal every 5 years typical, and they might not renew. So what happens then? This is what happens then. We're looking at what happens then. Not only the fault of the brand, but the fault of the location. And we'll end with one more car coming through the KFC parking lot. This must have been a nightmare when cars were pulling in here because it's narrow on that side. And here they just come one after another in the opposite direction, opposite the arrow. Oh my. I think KFC would have made more money if they put up a toll booth there. Look at this, one after another, trying to cut through here. This is just not how a great location is. You got cars stacked up to go out to this intersection, but if you were in operation, they'd be coming in this empty lane here and then turning where that arrow is, and you get all this opposing traffic from the cut through.